It might be handy as a tip for you to also log in your own TravelLive account on the TravelLive website with your own details, and keep that during the webinar so you can go with me through the planning and reporting, so through the same points, and then you can make notes, for example. So you can split your screen with, in one side, the TravelLive webinar, and on the other side, your own TravelLive account. That might be useful, but it's just a tip. Of course, you don't have to do that. I'm using a test account, so some information might be here already, but that's just an example. So first of all, here is, of course, where you can find planning and reporting, and you would find your company TravelLive partner report. So I think that is somehow familiar to everyone, with here on the left the toolbox with all the options. So here, if you click on the papers, you can access the TravelLive partner reporting page. And sometimes it looks like this, if I'm clicking on everything. So that might seem as if the criteria are not there. But as you can see, by just clicking on the blue bar, everything will appear. So just for you to know how to work with this as well. So we will just start with chapter 0, which is the company characteristics. And again, by clicking on the blue names, you will access the reporting, and it will look like this, which will be quite familiar for some of you already. And first of all, of course, we would like to know who is the sustainability coordinator for your company, because that will be our contact person, as are all of you. And first of all, of course, the information we would like to see is the name, the email, and the telephone number. And it's very important during the reporting that on top we will have 2 options, so not yet completed and completed. So if you have filled out a criteria, you have to click completed, because as you can see, then the checks here will become green, and we will see that you have completed that specific remark. So that's very important to always tick that as well as when you're finished with filling this out. And then also click on save here on the bottom right, because then it's saved in the system. And with this blue arrow, you can easily go to the next criterion. So these criterions are all based upon the brands, products, and services that you're offering. So first of all, we would like to know what is the nature of your business. So what kind of activities are part of your business. And always for a criterion, we will have an explanation here as well. So a more in-depth explanation of what we would like you to do in a criterion, or what we would like you to explain. So for this criterion, you have to indicate what kind of services you're offering. So for example, if you're an inbound tour operator, but maybe you're also offering land transport, then you can also tick that. So you can tick multiple activities. Sorry if the loading is a little bit slow. So we would like to indicate all the services that you're offering. And then again, of course, click on completed and save. Then the 0.3 is about the sensitive activity types that you're offering. Maybe you're not offering any sensitive activity types, but most tour operators are. So we would like you to indicate which of the following are part of your self-conducted excursions. So per type of excursion, there's a separate checkbox that has to be completed. So we divided them among culture-based activities, nature-based activities, water or marine-based activities, community-based activities, or animal activities. So you would have to indicate what kind of those activities you're offering. And then, of course, also click on a completed again. 0.3 is about the passenger number. So with this, we mean the number of passengers that you're dealing with on a yearly basis. And we've divided them into categories. So if you have an estimation, it's easy to choose from one of those categories. Sorry, also, if someone has a question, please just ask so, and you can write them in the text box over here, and then I'll continuously check if someone has asked a question or not. Or, of course, you can unmute yourself and ask it to me, but it might be better to just write it because that's more clear. So just for you to know that it's completely okay to ask questions during the webinar. So 0.5 is regarding the tourism types that you're offering. So are you offering winter sports or sun and beach tourism? And again, you can, of course, click multiple tourism types, as you probably offer different kinds of tourism activities. Complete it again. And so for target group, we would mean what kind of target group you're selecting to sell your tours to. And of course, maybe you don't have a specific target group, then you can just tick all the boxes. But perhaps you're targeting a specific group of people, then you can indicate that here. For destinations, we will mean the destinations that you're operating in, so sending tourists to. So I think for you all, that would probably be Central Asia, South Asia, or Southeast Asia. Probably Southeast Asia. So that's what you can indicate here. And with this, we don't mean the cultural background of your tourists. So not where your tourists are from, but really where you're operating in, which area. And completed. So these were the company. With this last one, the number of employees is also important, because with this it will affect some of the other criteria during the reporting, for example. So please indicate based on those categories the number of full-time employees in your company, and then click on completed again. So when we're starting with all the criterion in a minute, it's also important for you to know that we have a toolbox during the reporting, which you can use and which makes it easier to go through the reporting. And that is these orange tabs. So always you will report, of course, in the reporting tab, where we work in right now. But next to that, you will see a guidance tab. And for this specific criterion, there is no guidance, but for a lot of criterion, there is. So if you do not understand a specific criterion or what we ask from you, or you need literally some guidance for it, then you can view this tab, and there's often an explanation. Next to that, there's also the remarks tab. And this is very important, as this is the way to communicate with your coach. So your coach is still Chi, as you know. So via this tab, you can communicate with her about the planning and reporting, as you can see in questions 2 from coach. And if you have a question, for example, about this specific criterion, you can ask that over here to her. But the very important thing to notice here is that you should always save it with this middle saving icon with the exclamation mark, because only then we see the exclamation mark over here, and we will see that for that criterion you will have asked a question. However, as our system doesn't automatically notify us that you have put a question in the reporting, we would always ask you, after you have worked on the reporting and left some questions, you would have to email Chi and tell her, hey, Chi, I've worked on the reporting, but I have left some questions for you. Can you please look at it? Because then she knows she has to look at your reporting and answer some questions. So that's also very important to keep in mind, that you can really specifically ask questions for these criterions and then let her know. And she will give answer in the same toolbar and notify you via email that she has answered your questions. So next to this, also in the remarks tab, you can see internal notes. And that means notes to yourself regarding these criterion, for example. And you can use that during this webinar as well. As I've told you, as it might be handy to open your own TravelLife account. And as we go through the reporting, you can write down some of the examples that I'm giving, or maybe some explanations that you find useful. You can just write it here, and then later on, if you're working on the reporting again, you can go back to those internal notes and see what has been said about it again. So that might be useful as well. Right, so for brands under TravelLife, we would really mean all the brands that are in your company are offering tour operating activities. So for example, if you have 2 different brands under your company name, you can indicate that here. And as you can see, automatically that those details are shown over here.